Hello everyone, I'm Mark Seibring. I'm the Director of Analytics and Compensation in Harvard's Faculty of Arts and Sciences. And I'm here with Andrea Kelton-Harris, who's a senior HR consultant who supports the Arts and Humanities Division. Andrea and I have been talking about the new Massachusetts Equal Pay Act, which you may know by its acronym MEPA.
Hey, Mark, thanks for taking the time to talk with me about this new Massachusetts law. Some of the department administrators that I support have been asking me about MEPA over the past several months. Our conversation today is really going to help me support them better and understand what we need to know about MEPA, especially in terms of hiring and managing FAS staff members.
Well, I'm happy to review the MEPA basics with you, Andrea. In a nutshell, MEPA took effect on July 1st, 2018, when Massachusetts enacted an updated equal pay law as it relates to gender. MEPA gives all Massachusetts employers, including Harvard, guidance on what is considered unlawful wage discrimination. It's also added new protections for employees and job applicants to protect them from potential wage or salary discrimination.
Okay, so what does the new law say exactly?
Well, MEPA says that employers can't discriminate on the basis of gender when both determining and paying wages. In other words, employers are prohibited from paying salaries or wages to a staff member of one gender that are less than what they would pay a staff member of another gender for comparable work.
Okay, that's helpful to know. But what does MEPA mean when it says comparable work?
So MEPA defines comparable work as work that requires substantially similar skill, effort, and responsibility, and which is performed under similar working conditions.
Oh, okay. So does that mean all employees in the FAS performing comparable work need to be paid the same amount?
Good question, Andrea. No, MEPA allows employers to differentiate employees' pay if those differences are based on certain factors. Let me go through what those factors are. The first is seniority. Second, job-related education, training, or experience. Third, a merit system. Fourth is a system that measures earnings based on quantity or quality of production and revenue. That's not very common in the FAS. Fifth is where a job is performed if the employer has different geographic locations, for example. And sixth, travel, if travel is a regular and necessary condition of the job.
Those are some pretty specific factors. Will we have to rethink how we pay employees in the FAS?
Well, actually, Andrea, the FAS is really well situated with regards to MEPA because for a number of years we've been doing regular salary reviews on all new hires and any roles that have been reclassified. And those salary reviews have only included allowable factors under MEPA. So that is, our salary reviews take into account each employee's education, experience, and seniority at Harvard as they compare to their peers in comparable jobs across Harvard. In addition, the university has regularly conducted university-wide compensation audits on our employees, and those audits generally indicate that we're in compliance with MEPA as well as other compensation laws.
That's really good to know, Mark. There's one other question that I think the managers really will need to know, and that's, does MEPA identify any hiring practices that they should specifically know about?
Yes, there are a few practices that MEPA has specifically deemed unlawful. So it's important for our managers to know that they cannot ask any job candidate how much they're being paid in their current role at any point in the hiring process. And if a job candidate voluntarily discloses this to hiring managers, they cannot refuse to consider a job applicant based on the candidate's current pay.
Well, what if a candidate does voluntarily disclose their current salary to a hiring manager? What should the hiring manager do?
Well, obviously you can't prevent a candidate from voluntarily sharing their current compensation, but hiring managers can't use this information as part of their consideration for the candidate for the position they're recruiting for.
So if a manager knows the current salary of an employee, say it's an internal person, so they know the salary because they work here, can she use that as the basis for determining a hiring salary?
No, the manager can't use it for a basis at all. For the reason the MEPA prohibits an employer from asking about current salary is that the candidate's current salary in another role isn't relevant to this hiring decision. The manager's decision should be based on what the candidate would expect to be paid in this new role as compared to her peers across Harvard with similar education and experience, and not based on what the candidate was previously earning.
Okay. That's very interesting, and it's going to be very helpful to us and to all the managers. If there are more questions about MEPA, to whom can they reach out?
Well, managers can either reach out directly to me or they can reach out to their HR consultant. So I really appreciate, Andrea, for taking the time to talk to me about MEPA.
I appreciate you giving me all this information. Thanks, Mark.